Good morning to all. We'll start our chapter, actually class number 16. Today we're going to talk about the steady state heat conduction. So mainly we're going to confine our talk how the heat transferred through a plane walls. Okay, I think all of you are aware of the Fourier's fast law. So what happens when there is a one direction or one dimensional conduction, heat conduction through a plane wall? There must be some temperature gradient which actually act as a driving force for the heat to transmit from one side to another side. Okay, so here you can see a small thin wall. Okay, where it has been marked that there is a temperature difference between these two surfaces, right? This is given a coordinate x, y, and z, and you can see that arrow, which is actually giving the direction from heat flow from the left to right. There is no heat transfer in the direction, there is no change in temperature. So we are considering it's an isothermal. What is this mean isothermal? That the temperature is uniform throughout that plane or throughout the surface. So heat is not going to transfer. So here actually we are only considering heat transfer from left to right because of the temperature difference, temperature gradient. For steady state heat conduction, with no distributed source or sink of energy within the wall. So what does that mean? That there is no heat sink, which is going to act for heat sink or heat source, which are going to either act as consumption of heat or generation of heat. So the equation actually becomes d by dx k dt by dtx equal to 0, where k is actually here thermal conductivity, and dt by dx is the temperature gradient, right? So the heat flux is constant, and it's become that flux is proportional to temperature gradient. If you remember correctly, you can actually, this equation can be integrated. So it has become T equal to C1x plus C2. You can see this equation has been integrated. The d by dx, k dt by dx, and it's become T equal to C1x plus C2, where C1 and C2 are constant. It's integrated twice. So ultimately, what happens that to obtain the constant, actually it has been derived from the base equations. What you need to know, C1 and C2 is the boundary condition, right? Because you have the generic equation is being integrated twice, and you get this Tx equal to C1x plus C2. So that equations, the C1 and C2 can be determined using the proper boundary condition. So if you start at x0 and xl, what is x0? Is the onset of the temperature, the highest temperature, and xl is the length of that plane wall over which the temperature gradient exists. So T0 equal to T1 x1 and TL is the Tx2. But x is at x0, that is at the boundary condition 0, Ts1 will be C2, and xl Ts2 will be Tscl, actually the temperature. Okay, 1 stands for at this point and 2 stands for at this point. You can see 1 and 2 given, right? Ts2 is actually the C1, and L plus C2 L plus C2 equal to C1L Ts1. So actually T12 minus Ts1, Ts2 minus Ts1 divided by L is actually C1. So if you substitute this value, the equation 4 states the temperature vary linearly with x, right? Tx equal to Ts2 minus Ts1 xl A plus T by S1. The heat rates, the Fourier's equation is become Qx minus K dt dx. That is the heat transfer through the plane wall, which is nothing but K Ts1 minus Ts2. Or you can write down the heat flux, which is nothing but the heat loss per unit area, right? You can see Q double S prime given, right? Q double prime given because of the heat flux. So that is the unit of watt per meter square. Okay, heat flux having a unit of watt per meter square per unit length, right? Per degree, watt per meter Kelvin. Okay, that is the. I am sorry, actually, heat flux is watt per meter square. So that is actually K by L Ts1 minus Ts2. Here Ts1 and Ts2 is the temperature at the inlet and outlet, or you can say the plane wall 1 and plane wall 2. And L is the distance of the plane wall or the thickness of the plane wall, and K is the thermal conductivity. This is very straightforward. You can just look into this derivation. He has just considered a different boundary condition. What is the value? So if x0 means T0, so Ts1 will become C2 because x is 0. and x equal to L, TS2 become T1L plus C2, C1L plus C2, or C1L plus TS1. TS2 minus TS1 by L is equal to C1. You just put the value C1, and then C2 is already TS1, and then rearrange this term, you get this. Okay, this is actually given in a wire model. Actually, it is giving you a resistance model, voltage resistance model. You can see, because this is the resistance. Okay, the temperature, the plane wall is actually acting as a resistance, right? You can see here is the inlet temperature S1, infinite TS1, then it is TS1. There is some resistance due to plane wall TS2, and then at finite distance, this is TS2. We are considering over this distance only. And this is the resistance. Because there is only resistance, that's why heat loss occurs. Now, thermal resistance, how to know that? We are considering thermal conductivity. So obviously, the reciprocal of thermal conductance will be thermal resistance, right? Because just as an electrical resistance is associated with conduction of electricity, if we remember that equal to V equal to IR, where I is the resistance, right? So if thermal conductivity, if electrical conductivity is there, if current is passing through and wire, there must be some sort of resistance, right? Electrical resistance. So similarly, during heat transfer also, there is some sort of resistance which exists, right? Which is actually the reason for the driving potential, or the thermal temperature gradient which exists between the two ends, right? So how do you know that? We are going to consider how do you derive the thermal resistance. It's very simple, right? For ohmic conduction, you know that the thermal electrical resistance is the potential difference divided by current, right? RE equal to V1 minus V2 by I. So for electrical conduction, you can see that voltage difference between two ends is V1 and V2. There is a resistance RE, and current passed through this I. So this is the resistance. So thermal resistance for conduction in a plane will also be something like this. So if you remember this equation, the heat flux equation equal to Qx equal to KL, KAL TS1 minus TS2. So this is actually the K is the thermal conductivity, and A times TS1 minus TS2 divided by L is equal to the thermal conductance. Similarly, here also, the reciprocal of this, reciprocal of L by TS1 minus TS2 will be the thermal resistance. So you can see TS1 minus TS2 by Qs is actually thermal resistance. You just take opposite of this, right? TS1 minus TS2 divided by Qs, which is nothing but L by Ka, right? So that is actually thermal resistance. Correct? In a plane wall, this equation is very important. You remember this. This is an thermal resistance, that is TS1 minus TS2 divided, because that is this is why that resistance is coming, right? The temperature difference and the amount of heat flux. Here, similarly, here also you can see voltage difference divided by the current. So this is the thermal resistance. Okay, thermal resistance for convective heat transfer, that is Newton's cooling system, equal to, if you know that, I'm going to talk this later, equal to, for heat convection, the equation is Q equal to HA Ts minus T infinity. Here H is the convective heat transfer coefficient, right? For convection, it will be similarly thermal, the convective heat transfer resistance Ts minus T infinity divided by Q, or 1 over H. Here it is L by K, here it is 1 by H. So this is actually thermal resistance. This is for conduction, this is for convection. So the equivalent thermal circuit, if you draw for the plane wall with convection surface condition, the heat transfer rate may be determined from a separate consideration for each element. Since Qx is constant, okay, so here actually considering both the convection and conduction exist on this plane wall, okay. So there is an infinite temperature T infinity 1 that is coming. So here actually heat transfer is happening due to convection. Now it comes here at TS1. Then the heat passed through this plane wall. So here it is conduction. Then again TS2 to T infinite 2. Again heat transfer happens due to convection. So here are two convection and convective heat transfer and one conductive heat transfer, right? So if I draw it in terms of resistance model, you can see T infinity 1 to TS1, there is a resistance. TS1 to TS2, there is another resistance. And TS2 T infinity, there is another resistance. So what is this each resistance? The first one is the convective heat transfer resistance, which is given by 1 by H1A. The second one is the thermal resistance given by LKA. And the third one is again convective heat transfer resistance, that is given by 1 by H2A. So in Qx, the heat flux is constant throughout the network. So actually, in each cases, the flux will be same. It can be given by Qx T infinity 1 minus Ts1 by 1 by HIA. So this is coming from this equation, remember, okay. This is coming from this equation, just rearranging this term, okay. Q equal to this by this one, okay. You should remember this equation, okay. This is the same equation. Then Ts1 minus Ts2 L by K, and then Ts2 minus T infinity 1 by H2A. I hope you understand this expression. We are considering here plane wall convection as well as conduction heat transfer. Okay. So this is actually overall temperature difference. Now T infinity 1 minus T infinity 2 and the total thermal resistance R total of the heat plate is. What is the total thermal resistance? The total thermal resistance will be convective heat transfer resistance as well as conduction heat transfer resistance. Right? So 1 by H1A plus L by Ka plus 1 by H2A. Or you can give it in terms of heat flux Qs equal to T infinity 1 minus T infinity 2 divided by R total. Right? Here R total is this term, right? So the thermal resistance for radiation will be Tx minus T surface Q rad 1 by H. This is different. This expression you remember, the total resistance is the individual three term. Okay, and then the heat flux can be given T infinity 1 minus T infinity 2, this temperature minus this temperature, divided by the total thermal resistance. The total thermal resistance is given by this. Now for heat, since heat flux is equal, for each cases you can individually also determine this. Okay, because there is no heat sink or heat source, right? So obviously the amount of heat lost from here to here, here to here, and here to here will be equal. That's why Qx is given by T infinity 1 minus Ts1 by 1 by H1A equal to Ts1 minus Ts2 divided by Lka equal to Ts2 minus T infinity 1 by H2. Okay, I hope you understand. Am I going slow? Is it okay? The speed?
Yes, sir. Fine.
Okay. All right. So let us look into a problem. So it becomes much more clear. Okay. So here is a problem given a wall of furnace made up of inside layer of silica brick. So this is a real life problem. I mean, I think all of you are ceramic engineers here. So you must come across with different type of furnace, right? Furnace, there is the inside layer, there is outside layer, right? There is a middle layer. So the idea is to protect the heat loss, right? There is always some insulation being provided in a furnace, therefore, so that the heat loss can be minimized, because you are going to heat something inside the furnace, right? So if there is a heat loss, the efficiency is going to decrease. So let us examine this problem. A wall of a furnace is made up of an inside layer of silica brick, 120 mm thick cover with a layer of magnesite brick 240 mm thick. The temperature at the inside surface of silica brick wall and outside surface of magnesium brick wall are 725 and 110 C respectively. The contact thermal resistance between the two walls, there is a thermal resistance, contact thermal resistance between these two walls at the interface is given 0.0035 degrees C per watt per unit oil area. Okay. If thermal conductivity of silica and magnesites are given at 1.7 watt per meter C and 5.8 watt per meter C, calculate the rate of heat loss per unit area of wall and the temperature drop at the interface. So there's a figure is coming to the first. You see the length of the brick wall, say silica brick given 120 millimeters. So LA, if you consider silica is LA and magnesite is, there is two layers. One is silica, another is magnesite. So the silica layer in thickness is given 120 millimeter, which is 0.12 meter. And the magnesite brick is given 240 millimeter or 0.24 meter. So let us look into this. The inside temperature of the silica brick given 725 C. You can see here. This is silica brick. This is magnesite brick. The outside temperature of the magnesite brick given 110 C. Length of the silica brick given 120 millimeter. Length of the magnesite brick given 240 millimeter. Now there is a temperature drop because there is a contact thermal resistance, right? So the moment there is a heat loss from the silica brick to here, so it is given T2. There is a temperature drop because of the thermal resistance. If there was no thermal resistance, then it would have been continuous. Like there would be no T2 and T3, it would be only T2. I hope you understand, right? Because of some contact thermal resistance, that there is a temperature drop. Now, again, the temperature drop becomes T3 and then T3 here all the way to T4. Okay. So how we are going to formulate this? Just a minute. Hello. Okay, so let us continue here. The thermal conductivity are given for silica brick and magnesite brick. The contact thermal resistance is given 0.00335 degrees C per watt. Now temperature at the inside surface, this is T1. We are considering T1 725. Outside surface at magnesite T4 110 C. So the rate of heat loss per unit area of wall will be delta T. That is delta T is the temperature difference and the summation of total thermal resistance. Right. Now the thermal resistance, there are one thermal resistance here, there is another one here, and then there finally here. Right. There are three thermal resistance. Right. For A, for B, A is the silica brick, for the magnesite brick, and then the contact thermal resistance. Now temperature difference is the inside and outside temperature given. LA, the first thermal resistance will be LA by K. If you remember the formula, remember that formula. Okay, LA by K. This is the formula. Okay, this is for the heat conduction. Always remember this formula. Okay, LA by K, and the contact thermal resistance is already given for this one, and then LB by KB. Now LA, K, LB, KB, all the parameters are given. If you put all the value, then you get this number, 5324.67 watt per meter square. So that is the amount of rate of heat loss per unit area of the wall, which is given by 5324.67 watt per meter square. I hope it is clear now. Okay. Now, how to do the temperature drop at the interface? Because that was asked to calculate. Since the heat flow is same for each layer of the composite wall, therefore the temperature drop will be equal for each. What I'm trying to say here, that amount of heat drop here to here, here to here, and here to here, it will be equal. That is the heat flask. Okay. So Q equal to T1 minus T2 LA by K equal to T3 minus T4 LB by KB. So you already determine Q. T1 you know, T2 you can write, and then you can calculate solve for T2. Right. So T2 will be 349.14. Similarly, Q you know, and then T3 you don't know, but T4 you know. So again you write this equation and then solve for T3 and you get 333. So what will be the temperature drop at the interface? 349 minus 0.14 minus 330, that is T2 minus T3, 18.81 degrees. Okay, that's how we solve this problem. Let us look into another problem. A furnace wall consists of 200 millimeter layer of refractory bricks, 6 millimeter layer of steel plate, and a 100 millimeter layer of insulation bricks. Okay. The maximum temperature at the wall is 1150 C on the furnace side, and the minimum temperature is 40 C on the outermost side of the wall. An accurate energy balance over the furnace shown that heat loss from the wall is given 400 watt per meter square. It is known that there is a thin layer of air between the layers of refractory brick and steel plate. Thermal conductivities for the three layers are given 1.52, 45, and 0.138 watt per meter C respectively. Find to how many millimeters of insulation brick is the air layer equivalent? What is the temperature of the outer surface of the steel plate? Okay, so you can see there are four layers of insulations are given. First is the refractory brick, given of thickness 200 millimeter. There is a air gap equivalent to X millimeter. Okay, that is you have to calculate. It is not been provided. Then there is a steel plate of 6 millimeter thickness. Then there is the insulation brick of 100 millimeter thickness. Inside temperature of the furnace given 1150 C. Outside temperature is given 400 C. So this is the whole problem. Okay, it's been given here. So this is my inside furnace. This is the atmosphere, and this is how the temperature is gradually decreasing. Now refractory brick given 200 millimeter, steel plate given 6 millimeter, insulation brick given 100 millimeter. Okay. Difference of temperature between the innermost and outermost side of the wall is given 1150 minus 40, 1110. Thermal conductivity of each layer is given. K is given 1.52. KB and KD, right? KB and KD is given, right? 0.138. Kc is given 45 watt per meter C. Heat loss from the wall is given, total heat loss, Q equal to 400 watt per meter square. So how to determine, we know Q equal to A delta T by summation of thermal resistance, right? Or Q by A, which is actually heat flux, equal to delta T by summation of thermal resistance. Temperature drop 1100 C, and then for each layer you can write down this expression like LA by K, LB by KB, LC by KC, LD by KD. Right? Q by A is already given 400 watt per meter square. So you substitute this value. All the parameters are given except X. Now see here divided by 1000 because we are considering everything in the meter. Since X is in millimeter, we are considering it divided by 1000. So this has to be very mindful when we are solving the numerical. So if you solve it, you get the value of X with 266.5 millimeter. Okay. Now temperature of the outer surface of the steel plate is 400. The heat loss is 400 and TS4. That is the outer surface of the heat mean here, right? This temperature, right? TSO. Because there is a heat loss here. TSO minus TB 40 divided by LD by KD. So you solve for this and then you get TSO 329.86. I hope you understand up to this point. Then we'll solve one numerical. Let us look into final numericals. A furnace wall is composed of 220 millimeter of fire bricks, 150 millimeter of common bricks, 50 millimeter of 85% magnesia and 3 millimeter of steel plate. Okay. On the outside, if the inside surface temperature is 1500 C and outside surface temperature is 90 C, estimate the temperature between layers and calculate the heat loss in kilojoule hour per meter square. That is same as watt per meter square. Okay. Assume K for fire bricks given 4 kilojoule per meter. That is 4 watt per meter. 4 watt per meter. Watt per meter C. Common brick given 2.8 kilojoule per meter hour C. And for 85% magnesia thermal conductivity given 0.24 kilojoule per meter hour C. And for steel it is given 240 kilojoule per meter hour C. So for each layer, fire brick, common brick, magnesite, and steel plate thicknesses are given, right? So you see, you can write down all the thickness, you can convert into millimeter. Inside temperature 1500, outside temperature 90 C. K is given, KB given, KC given, KD given. So the equivalent thermal resistance for each layer is LA by K, you can calculate, LB by KB, calculate, all the thermal resistance calculate. Summation of all the thermal resistance is 0.3169 meter square hour degree C per kilojoule, right? The heat loss will be Q equal to T1 minus T5, T1 minus T5 divided by thermal resistance. You put this value and then you get 4449.35 kilojoule per hour meter square or watt per meter square. Kilojoule per hour is equal to kilowatt per meter square. Joule per hour is equal to watt. Okay. Now temperature between layers you can calculate again. Similarly, same formula. T4 minus T5 divided by thermal D for this one. Okay. Q equal to. So you can calculate T4 equal to T5 plus Q equal to our thermal D 90.05 C. Similarly, you can calculate for this one. All the individual you can calculate and then you can calculate that because the moment you calculate Q for each layer you can separately calculate the thermal resistance because T4 minus T5 by Q equal to R thermal D, right? Then equal to for thermal C T3 minus T4. This one. Similarly, T2 minus T3, this one. Then T1 minus T2 for this one. So you can calculate all individually. Okay.